A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend, ChristiTutionalist Joseph M. Lenard.
Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Lenard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show!
Hello, gang! I am skipping my usual welcome to Season 2, Episode XX, because I am recording on Inauguration Day, January 20th, as well as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Very important to me to mention that as a ChristiTutionalist and indeed content of character, to which my kind of spin-off to that is principles, not personalities, hashtag, as you've heard me mention over and over and over. But I'm recording now for a part 1 and a part 2 Flashback 2024 preview 2025. So recording today on Inauguration Day just seems very befitting, regardless of when it end up wedged into the official release drop day schedule and official episode number. You see me doing air quotes if you're looking at the behind the scenes at BitChute, Brighteon, Daily Motion, Rumble, YouTube, and yeah, I'm on Vimeo, but only an account with very limited space that filled up fast, and sadly, unfortunately, haven't been able to figure out, because I don't spend any time there. I tried deleting a couple older pieces to free up space for some newer pieces, but guess what? It deletes it from the list. It doesn't delete it from the site. Didn't free up the space. So I've only got a little bit of room left on that Vimeo account. So I pretty much put an occasional soundbite teaser of a ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast episode there. The sound bites sometimes go up on the others. Like BitChute is also a bit more limited account, so I put sound bites up, and then later I have to go back and delete them, so I have space for main shows to really truly be there. And at some point, actually I already did, some of the older early episodes had to be removed for space purposes. As you all know, I'm on disability. I can't afford to have paid accounts on all these platforms. It's way too expensive on my disability budget. So maybe one day when this show gets 1,000 paying, plenty of regular free subscribers, but maybe someday through Buzzsprout, there is a $3, $5, and $10 paid subscription option. I didn't plan on begging you for money here, but hey, yeah, it is what it is. As I say in the opening, your low-key, no muss, no fuss show, because I don't have a budget for a high production show. So maybe in the future, if I get hundreds or 1,000 or whatnot paid subscribers, I can afford to upgrade these accounts to the larger, better, more robust paid accounts, but I certainly want to make them available in video behind the scenes sneak peek format for those of you who like seeing things on video. Admittedly, across the 5 or whatever, 6 with Vimeo, I think, video platforms that I do use to drop behind the scenes, there aren't a whole lot of people looking at the videos. I wish I knew why. You can't watch a video while you're driving down the road in your car, but you can listen to the audio version of the podcast, obviously, while you're in your car. But I don't understand why more people don't, at least occasionally from home, want to see how the show comes across and what goes on and whatnot. At any rate, none of that has a damn thing to do with this episode. So let's get to the actual stuff we're supposed to be discussing. As you can see, hold up the notes on the behind the scenes, how it says there, oh, now the green screen isn't working with the red print. Saturday, January XX in question. Season 2, episode XX in question. Could I please stop blabbering on about stuff that has nothing to do with the stuff supposed to be in this episode? Hopefully you haven't tuned out. So indeed, at any rate, I'm going to read just the opening paragraph of the piece. Of course, you may recall I did a flashback, air quoting here, flashback 1 year with the Liberty Beacon. So, okay, let's do a flashback 2024 and kind of really a preview or prologue to 2025, because everything we've covered in the last 3 years or so together roll in and relate to what we need to get done in 2025. Roar, that'll be the first one. Restore our American Republic. Back to the text. But yes, of course, in my odd fashion, you know I can never do anything in traditional manner, even though I am very much a conservative, a ChristiTutionalist, therefore very much traditionalist, traditionally. See what I did there? Traditionalist, traditionally. I know. I'm an idiot. Jokester Joe over on Savage Unfiltered. I can never pass the wordplay, lame puns kind of thing. So, of course, then there's an LOL in there. But I then go on more to say, I'm not going to read it. There are so many pieces from 2024 from me alone that, of course, are important and needing recapping, let alone all the other writers' pieces that probably very much deserve mentions of, hey, remember that? Maybe you should go back and revisit that piece again as we move into 2025, keeping these things fresh in mind. But at any rate, I would have a 8-hour show. We can't do that. I would have a book rather than an online article, probably 100,000 word, which would be a pretty big book already, piece. Can't do that. Already broke this into 2 parts, kicking it off, as I kind of hinted at, Roar, Restore Our American Republic. I start with We the People Demand List, Part 1 and 2. Part 1, Part 2 of We the People Demand List, as well as cross-referencing and linking in the piece related to this show to the Doge, a suggestion plus 50 more. But We the People demand list. I didn't look. I should have before hitting record. I don't want to bother now, but it's up to at least 51 items, potentially more than that already, and likely will grow. And please, by all means, go to change.org and look for We the People demand list.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Podcast fans, get more about your favorite podcasts via deepcast.fm, transcripts, and all kinds of extra available information on your favorite podcasts, including ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, is listed at deepcast.fm, as well as, are you a podcaster? Well, you can claim your free listing and more via Deepcast Pro. Check out tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters for your free listing, and that's the number 4 in there. tinyurl.com/DeepcastPro for podcasters, the number 4, Deepcast Pro, the number 4 podcasters via tinyurl.com extension. Take care, all. You gotta check them out. Get more out of your podcast, whether you're the podcaster or the podcastee. Yeah, I think I just invented that word.
There's only 20 of the items listed in there, or it'd be too long. Comment there if you like. Please, please, please share that. Please sign the petition. We're not going to agree on all 20, let alone all 50 or 51 plus that it's up to now. Make a comment, leave your own suggestions of what should be added at beforeitsnews.com. There is the related Remember the Contract with America? Well, I created the We the People demand list. You can find that at beforeitsnews.com. Comment there. What should I add? Together, I know we could very easily come up with, at least for as many years as we've had a nation thus far, we could probably come up with the same number, an item for each of the years. We might even be able to, some way, shape, or form, tie it back to each year, something that happened in our republic. Not mobocracy, not ineptocracy, not kleptocracy that the left keeps instilling when they're in power to enrich themselves, buy votes to give themselves power. The commie, fasci, sociocrats, all about more and more power for them. They want a one-party rule system like Russia and China and North Korea and the Ayatollahs in Iran and yada, yada, yada. So we could tie an example probably back to each year. But all right, that's enough on that. I've already gone way too long on that. And indeed, in the Flashback Part 1 article, I'm planning to put, you could see here, a video, How Stupid Have Americans Become? Part 2, the behind-the-scenes sneak peek video of that episode of the show will be embedded in the piece. You can see it there. I'm supposed to be appearing on the Rick Walker Maverick News show out of Canada regarding the inauguration today. If we can manage to fit that in the schedule, And I'll ask Rick for permission if I am on to hopefully be able to capture that video segment, and we'll throw it as an extra additional special item during the week as Saturday monologues, normally an occasional guest, but Wednesday, normally guest drops or special situation like grabbing another show that I'm on and airing that here as part of this show so you could see it here. At any rate, the lessons of Reagan. I so much wanted to talk about that, and thankfully, despite again the attempted fraud and the cheating in order to those on the left steal the House. They didn't, but we've only got a 1, 2, 3 at the most member majority in the House because House races were stolen in California and New York. And I dare say maybe even one in Michigan. Definitely the Senate seat, I dare say, was stolen. Trump won Michigan in 2016 by only 10,000 votes. He won it by a much more significant margin, but lo and behold, the count for the Senate seat that was contested because Stabenow retired went on for days, and oh, what a surprise! They found enough votes to get the Democrat Slotkin over Mike Rogers, who was not my first choice in the primary for that seat, but still even Rogers, I wouldn't call him a rhino. I think he's a bit of a C-no. He is definitely a deep state insider, at least in the past. That doesn't mean he hasn't been reformed, and therefore I was willing to support him when he got the nomination, mainly due to name recognition. It is so sad. People on our side, on the right, too darn lazy to bother to do homework and look into these candidates and even bother to vote in the primary. Plus, I'm not mentioning election reforms in other than what I did just there, but we need a true closed primary so that Democrats cannot meddle in our primary. In Michigan, they call it a closed primary. That's complete bullpucky because anyone can declare on primary election day what party they want to vote in. They don't have to belong to that party for any period of time. And it's how, like so many other states do it the same way, we land up with idiot candidates like Mitt Romney for president or John McClain for president. And as much as I love Bob Dole, the wrong Dole ran back then. Elizabeth Dole should have been the nominee, not Bob Dole. Love him to death, war hero, R.I.P. But these bad candidates, because the Democrats flood over. They don't care what Democrat is the nominee. Whatever commie, fasci, soci managed to get their nomination. That's supposed to be one word there. I'm not sure how the AI is going to translate that for the transcript with the pauses in there the first time. But their nominee, it doesn't matter to them. Whatever. Look, Joseph Robinette Biden was the candidate. They don't care. They will elect anybody as long as they are an ultra-leftist, anti-American, will help bring down the country rather than lift up the country. So they don't really care who wins their primary. They cross over to Republican primaries and meddle in our primaries. And I think Mike Rogers got the benefit of them meddling in our primary. I backed Doc Sherry, would have been like a Rand Paul, right? An actual doctor in the Congress. Somebody from the outside, yes, she had some political experience, but a Trump-like outsider, even though Reagan was governor of California, a Reagan-like outsider. But yeah, back to the lesson of Reagan, despite the cheating and shenanigans that went on, people voted enough en masse, GOP ticket up, down. Donald Trump won the popular vote, shifted every state vote-wise, vote totals, tallies to the right, not enough to win some of those other states. People learned enough that with the lesson of Reagan only had control of the U.S. Senate by a slim margin 2 of his 8 years, never had a Republican control of the U.S. House. So anything and everything he got done, he had to take to the bully pulpit and beat his fist down, saying, look, you elected me in record numbers, but Congress doesn't want to enact my agenda. So he was able to get us to put pressure on Congress to pass a lot of his agenda items, not all of them. Imagine how well off we'd have been in the 80s had there been a Gingrich-like Congress, House, and a modern, although short of filibuster-proof majority. I think we are going to have 53 seats, if I recall correctly, in the U.S. Senate. So we'll have control of the House, the Senate, the White House, and a quasi-semi-ChristiTutionalist, constitutional, quasi-somewhat conservative, although I think a few of the justices are a bit Sino-y at times. I'm not going to say rhino because they're not supposed to be partisan party people, but we all know the Supreme Court nominees by any leftist president is always a liberal leftist ideologue activist, not a true jurist. So while we have control of all of these leading up to midterms 2026, it's a tight margin in the House. Don't have a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. So Trump, which I want to talk about with Rick Walker today, if I get the chance, executive orders. Trump plans on signing 100 of them today alone. I don't criticize EOs only when leftists do them. A lot of times, EOs are overreach, are illegal, are unconstitutional, are not a direct direction, if you'll pardon that language, should have been better, but an EO is the executive officer signing an executive order, an executive directive of how the executive branch that he controls is supposed to operate things, but they must be within the law and within the Constitution, and all presidents go outside those bounds, and principles, not personalities. I'm sure there'll be some I question Trump, but indeed, we're not going to get everything through the Congress because of the close margin. And the other thing is they're talking about one big, beautiful bill. No. Like we, the people, demandless, we deserve separate bills, all discussed, all voted on, all up or down voted on their merits, not some big omnibus bill again. No, how many times do we speak out against that? But yet, here again, here's the swamp. be in the swamp again, giving people excuses to pass a lot of stuff they would otherwise not vote for, and others reason to vote against if they're real Republicans, if they're real conservatives, if they're real ChristiTutionalists, constitutionalists. No, omnibus bill, no. No, 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 no. A lot of good stuff is going to be in it, but there's going to be some garbage in there too. And frankly, a lot of Republicans should be voting no on this supposed one big, beautiful bill. But the point being, we need to get things through legislatively to really truly last, even though one Congress indeed cannot bind another Congress, except by via constitutional amendment. And we, the people, demand this. I'm asking we start a couple constitutional amendment processes for that very reason. And the other lesson of Reagan, people need to learn outside of that. The party in power of the White House usually loses seats in both House and Senate in the midterms, and we cannot allow that to happen. So I'm going to jump ahead in the notes. In the article, I'll just mention God and Guns is in there. The issue is never the issue. Rising tides lifts all boats. But I wanted to get ahead to, actually, this will be sneak peek of part 2. It's not in here. That'll be the next week. But no, you cannot rest. Midterms, you usually lose seats if you're the president in power. We cannot afford to let that happen, which means no, you cannot rest. But yeah, and I didn't mention it in here, not going to mention it in the next one either. Occasional breaks and distractions are not just okay, they're healthy, they're necessary, but you can't be, also not going to be mentioned, consumed by the bread and circus 24/7. Let me find that back in the notes. No, that's not in here because it's for no, you can't. My apologies as I look for Flashback 2024 epilogue / 2025 prologue part 2, scrolling down that article, blah, 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 blah. The image from the related No, You Cannot Rest part 1 message or article piece, the image that's associated with that, the sneak preview of the article in there says the left want you to take a long break while they do all they can to undermine any progress. And I hate to use that word progress. We're not looking for change. We're looking for restoration. We need to restore our American public, not progress like the left wants to away from our constitutionally limited representative republic. But anyway, back to that. The left want you to take a long break while they do all they can to undermine any progress, or I should say, overturning of their progression, their commie, fascist, sociocrats progression to more federal dictatorial power that we may make. So you cannot rest. We must get more House seats and more Senate seats if there's a chance. Pray, but yes, I don't go into that either. Is prayer alone enough was one of the articles from last year. No, it's not. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people humble themselves and pray, I shall hear from and turn from their wicked ways. that important part there, and turn from their wicked ways, I shall hear from heaven and heal their land. He means he will help. He is not going to just wave a magic wand. So, no, prayer alone is not enough. Only thing necessary for evil prevail, good people to do nothing. Rush, not Limbaugh, the rock group. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Inaction is an action of itself, and you shall be known by your fruits. If you're not helping sow good to reap good later, you go to your bathroom, look in your mirror, and be honest with yourself about, are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem because you're not sowing good? You're, hey, I voted. So you voted. So what? What are you doing the next 2 hours? Hey, I got that right. I held up one hand with two rather than both hands with two. Next 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades to help roar. And again, like I've joked in the past, no, we're not talking Katy Perry fanboyism of her practically softcore porn roar video, which was a homage to Helen Reddy's I Am Woman tune. Great tune. Love the tune. It's wonderful. But we're not talking that kind of roar, Katy Perry fanboyism. We're talking restore our American Republic. You must be involved at least a few times a week, making phone calls, writing letters, actual letters to Congress, as well as emails to Congress. Sign up for, let me grab my phone real quick. Enter the passcode. Come on. This phone is getting old and slow. But I'm scrolling, looking for, where is it? Well, while I'm looking for that, the immigration, what's the name? I'm drawing a blank on that now. The immigration site started by, now I'm drawing a blank on his name. I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes, that help you sign already form letters. If you're going to be lazy, can you at least do that? If you're not going to write a letter or your own fresh email, go on to the immigration site by, I want to say last name Beck, not Glenn Beck, another Beck, but a immigration group that's been around a long time. Their website, you could just sign a pre-made form. At least do that. Can we please do something more than just piss, moan, bitch, whine online, on social media? It has its place, but you have to motivate people to do things, not just go there and whine and moan and complain. And oh boy, there's a app called Quick. Did I remove it from my phone? Oh, I am upset. I am not fine. I know it's on here, but for some reason, somehow, I'm not finding it. I think it's called Quick, KWIK, which is also like the immigration reform site, where they have quick letters. All you got to do is sign up, get the app, sign up. Hey, I like that. I want a bill on that. Sign me up for that, and it will automatically send a letter on your behalf to the president, the vice president, the SCOTUS, your congressional representative, as well as your 2 state senators. So no, you cannot rest. We need to do things. And I apologize. I've gone longer than I expected to for this episode, so I'm going to wrap it up because, after all, it is a two-parter. So I'll be ranting and raving some more next week. And indeed, again, reminding, no, you cannot rest. Okay, watch an occasional ball game, hockey game, whatever, pickleball match, if that's your thing. Get out and actually play pickleball or tennis on occasion. That's important and healthy to do. But no, you cannot be consumed by the bread and circus distractions all the time, or the swamp will go back to being the swamp and doing whatever they want. And then 2 years from now in the midterms, if and when you finally wake up and look, gee, why didn't anything get done? Because you didn't help get anything done. You are going to be surprised if the swamp goes back to being the swamp if we, the people who are the real bosses and got them elected, don't demand things from them, hence the change.org, we the people demand list. Okay, thank you all. Take care. God bless. I'm gonna rush here. I've got to mute to cough again. So, bye. See you later. See you next week.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at TheLibertyBeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Lenard. Order today.